Kim Kardashian stepped onto the stage expecting a normal reaction. Yet the moment her name filled the room, everything shifted. A wall of boos rose fast and hit her harder than she ever imagined. It wasn't online noise anymore, it was real people, in real time, making their anger impossible to ignore. For weeks she carried the weight of All's Fair collapsing around her. Still, she believed the worst had happened behind screens. But that night proved the storm had moved into the real world. Each second of that reaction cut deeper as she tried to hold her posture, even while her confidence cracked. What made the moment even heavier was the growing rumor that Naomi Watts was blaming the disaster on her. Kim tried to keep calm, yet every word Naomi hinted about the show's failure replayed in her mind. It felt like she was being pushed into a corner while her own team stayed silent. When the boos got louder, something inside her snapped. She wasn't angry at the crowd alone. She was angry at feeling singled out, angry at Naomi shifting the blame, angry at Disney stepping back when things fell apart. That mix of pressure and betrayal led to the raw reaction the whole world would soon replay. The booing didn't come from one corner. It spread across the entire room fast and caught Kim off guard before she even finished her first sentence. The shift in energy happened in seconds, and the tension felt impossible to hide from. Her steady entrance collapsed into chaos instantly. People near the stage froze in disbelief. Some tried clapping to soften the reaction, but the crowd refused to back down. Kim's voice trembled as she tried to push forward, yet the noise rose every time she tried to speak. Nothing about it felt random. It felt built up and intentional. Phones shot up everywhere, capturing the moment with the same shock Kim felt. Her eyes tightened as she tried to keep breathing steady while the room pushed her into a corner. Every second was recorded and every expression captured in high definition. The humiliation became impossible to escape. Within minutes, the clips hit social platforms. The boos became a symbol of something bigger than the show. And with Naomi's recent comments floating through Hollywood, people began asking if this was proof the audience agreed with her. Kim walked off stage knowing the damage wouldn't fade quickly. All's Fair had strong marketing and a loud rollout, yet the viewership dropped almost immediately. What began as a hopeful launch turned into a slow collapse that shocked even Disney insiders. Week after week, the numbers dipped until it felt like the show barely had an audience left. Fans complained the writing felt flat and the tone confused. Others argued Disney misjudged the people it was trying to reach. Instead of excitement, the episodes created frustration that spread across every discussion. The disconnect grew until people simply stopped watching. Behind closed doors, Disney saw the trend but didn't want to admit how bad it looked. Promo teams stopped highlighting the show, hoping the silence would hide the drop. Even staff working on the project noticed how leadership backed away without warning. The retreat spoke louder than any statement. By the time Kim faced the booing, the show had already become a punchline online. Memes spread faster than actual clips from the series. And Naomi's subtle shade added fuel to the idea that the failure had a face. The narrative twisted until Kim looked like the person who ruined the show. Disney executives started doubting the show long before viewers noticed anything wrong. They worried the tone didn't match the direction they wanted for the platform. Some argued the humor felt too sharp. Others believed the themes would spark debates the studio wasn't ready to face. As the numbers kept falling, meetings grew more tense. Fixing the show meant rewrites and fresh shoots, yet Disney didn't want the cost or the risk. Every plan to repair the tone was rejected before it reached a full conversation. Leaders preferred stepping back rather than doubling down. Inside the studio, people noticed how fast the shift happened. All's Fair went from heavily promoted to quietly ignored. Managers stopped discussing long-term plans and pushed their attention to safer projects. The silence said everything, even if no one officially addressed the decline. So, when the booing hit the internet, many inside Disney saw it as proof they made the right call stepping away. What they didn't expect was Kim's raw reaction turning the moment into a wildfire. Their retreat now looked like abandonment, and Naomi's hints only made the story messier. Kim held her expression as long as she could, but the crowd's reaction hit harder than she expected. She had seen harsh words online, yet hearing real people boo her felt different. It wasn't pixels on a screen. It was a room full of voices turning on her at once. Each second on stage grew heavier as she tried to continue. Weeks of criticism weighed on her, and she felt pushed into a storm created by choices she didn't control. She expected the studio to guide the project, yet instead she faced its failure alone. Backstage, she reached her breaking point. She demanded answers, asking why no one warned her the backlash was this intense. She felt blindsided by Disney's silence and hurt that Naomi's comments spread unchecked. The pressure finally broke through. Clips leaked hours later, showing Kim leaving the stage drained and frustrated. People said they had never seen her look that shaken. The meltdown became a turning point. It wasn't just about All's Fair anymore, but about a star who felt abandoned and blamed for everything. The cast and crew watched the booing clips with disbelief. They expected criticism, but never imagined Kim would face such a public hit. Many felt the failure came from bigger decisions and not from the person taking the heat. The moment shook the entire team. Writers said they were never given clear notes about what went wrong. They felt Disney abandoned the project once the numbers slipped. Some believed the marketing leaned too heavily on Kim's name instead of promoting the story itself. That imbalance left her exposed when the show collapsed. Producers shared the same frustration. They believed the project had potential, yet the studio pulled support too early. Without promotion, the show had no chance to recover. Many on the crew felt helpless as the backlash grew louder and the narrative slipped out of their hands. Naomi's rumored comments added a new layer of tension. Some insiders said she blamed the tone shift on Kim's involvement. Others argued that placing the failure on her was unfair and unprofessional. The fallout didn't hit just one person. It hit everyone involved while the studio stayed silent. Inside Disney, the message became clear early. The studio wanted safer shows without sharp subjects or unpredictable tone. All's Fair landed in the danger zone, and the retreat began long before the public sensed trouble. The series became a quiet casualty of a shift no one addressed. Teams were pushed toward lighter concepts. Executives feared bold ideas could spark debates that harmed the brand. They believed stepping back would avoid a larger storm. Kim felt that distance growing fast and knew the studio was moving on quietly. When numbers dropped, Disney pulled support almost immediately. Promotion slowed until it disappeared, which left the cast uneasy. They watched their own studio treat the show like it never existed, and morale dropped across the crew. For Kim, the retreat felt personal. She believed the project needed support, yet she was left carrying the criticism alone. Naomi's comments made the shift seem intentional. Kim saw the meltdown as the result of being abandoned by the studio that once promised backing. Hollywood felt the shock the moment Kim was booed. If someone as influential as her could face that reaction, then every star felt exposed. Agents warned clients to avoid risky projects. The atmosphere across Los Angeles tightened, and fear began shaping decisions overnight. Writers trimmed scripts to avoid subjects that could spark backlash. Producers whispered that the industry had become reactive instead of bold. They feared one bad moment could destroy years of planning. Kim's situation became the example no one wanted to repeat. Executives at rival studios watched the clip and felt uneasy. They saw the boos as proof audiences were tired of safe storytelling and frustrated with studio choices. No one agreed on the real cause, which only raised anxiety. The confusion spread faster than the clip itself. Kim's frustration deepened the impact. She didn't hide her emotions, and that honesty made the moment impossible to soften. Hollywood realized this wasn't simple PR trouble. It was a warning that stars were being left alone in public battles, while studios stepped away to protect themselves. As the booing spread online, people revisited every flaw tied to All's Fair. Younger viewers said the show felt too polished, while older fans said the tone didn't match the marketing. Each group saw different issues, and the disconnect widened fast. Naomi's comments arrived at the perfect moment. She hinted the show never found its voice, and many believed she was aiming at Kim. Fans argued over miscasting and writing, yet her timing made the shade hit harder and pushed the backlash forward. Disney refused to defend the project. Their silence strengthened Naomi's narrative and made her look more credible. The story shifted until Kim carried most of the blame. The quiet response from the studio made the situation escalate even faster. Clips comparing the actresses spread quickly. People said Kim overshadowed the script, while Naomi brought the emotional weight. Fair or not, the commentary dominated the conversation. The disconnect grew, and Naomi's hints made blaming Kim feel justified. Rumors spread that All's Fair hit 0 viewers, which wasn't fully true yet close enough to scare Disney. Internal reports showed a sharp drop executives refused to reveal. They feared the real numbers would expose deeper issues and spark more backlash. Teams said the decline was worse than anything released that season. Charts showed viewers leaving after the first episodes at alarming speed. Promo teams were told to stop pushing the show, which made the collapse even faster. Every quiet decision added more pressure. Naomi's comments gained traction because people sensed something was being hidden. Fans wanted to know how a star-driven series collapsed so quickly. Disney's silence made the public assume the worst, and the numbers became a mystery everyone tried to guess. Kim felt the weight of that secrecy. She believed the silence made her look responsible for mistakes she didn't cause. That fear fueled her emotional reaction. She realized she wasn't fighting criticism alone, but a narrative built around numbers no one was allowed to see. After the meltdown, Kim knew she needed more control. She didn't want to join projects where she had no voice, yet carried all the blame. Producers started offering partnerships that gave her real creative space and the chance to shape her own work. The humiliation surprisingly opened doors. People saw strength in her raw reaction and believed she could turn it into a comeback. Hollywood loves a reinvention, and suddenly Kim had the industry's attention. Everyone waited to see her next move. Kim began exploring projects where she controlled the tone instead of just appearing. She wanted input on writing direction and marketing. She refused to face another situation where a studio pulled away and left her exposed. Ownership became her new focus. She realized the backlash created a fresh path. Instead of retreating, she wanted to rebuild with something original. The collapse of All's Fair marked the moment she decided to take full control of her image and stop letting others define her future. The booing incident didn't fade. It showed how fragile a major show becomes when a studio retreats and the audience loses trust. All's Fair was struggling, yet that moment pushed it into a bigger conversation about failed risks and missing leadership. Kim's emotional reaction forced people to look deeper. She didn't hide behind polished statements. She showed frustration and exhaustion, which made the collapse feel human. That honesty shifted blame toward Disney and Naomi instead of leaving her alone. Fans noticed the unanswered questions Disney avoided. Those gaps sparked debates about the direction studios are taking and whether safe choices are hurting creativity. The incident became a symbol of an industry trying to protect itself rather than evolve. In the end, All's Fair became more influential canceled than active. The meltdown, the backlash, and Naomi's quiet blame created a story bigger than the show. Until studios stand behind bold decisions, stars like Kim will continue facing the fallout alone.